We're joined now by Kevin Mahoney, an aviation accident attorney with Kreindler and Kreindler, to get some answers. Hi, Kevin.
Good morning.
So we heard the air traffic controller on tape admitting fault for the crash, saying they, quote, messed up. Could they be personally held liable for the crash?
The air traffic controller will probably not be held personally liable, but his employer, which is the United States of America, and the Federal Aviation Administration will likely be held liable.
Right, and we have heard a lot of questions around staffing levels and that being an issue. Could you see that being a factor as well in terms of any legal action that could be taken against their employer?
Legally, no. I think it's more of a political question. The FAA is protected for its budgeting decisions under a doctrine called the discretionary function immunity. But in terms of the tactical or operational error made by the controller, that will certainly be a basis for liability.
Right, and given that your firm has worked with passengers in many plane accidents, including last year's Delta plane crash at Toronto's Pearson Airport, do you recommend passengers on this flight take legal action? And if so, what rights do they have?
Well, everybody on board that airplane does have legal rights. They do not need to make immediate decisions in terms of the legal routes they take. They should vet attorneys who have aviation experience, and they should take their time in doing research. There is a federal law that typically prohibits contacting individuals involved in aircraft crashes within 45 days of the accident. So if lawyers are reaching out to them directly, that is a big red flag. In terms of their rights, there are three parties involved here in this accident. There's the United States of America, there's the Air Canada, and the regional subsidiary Jazz Aviation, and then there's the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, which was operating the fire truck. All three of those entities are potential, and I say potential because the investigation is just in its infancy, are potential defendants in civil litigation in the United States.
Right, yeah, certainly lots of moving parts there for sure. And we do know that more than 40 passengers were taken to hospital as a result of the crash. In these cases, who covers healthcare costs?
The initial healthcare costs would likely be covered by the individual insurance held by the passengers. Oftentimes, airlines have insurance which can cover ongoing medical expenses. And then each of the passengers who incurred medical costs will be able to seek reimbursement through the legal process against liable parties, and that could include the United States or the Port Authority.
Right. And I guess another big question is any advice you have to passengers, and when it comes to things like timeline for when, if they are considering taking legal action, how soon should they act? I'm sure lots of them are shaken up, so it might not be top of mind right now. But yeah, any advice on that side of things?
Yeah, the passenger's priority, an injured passenger's priority should be their immediate health and well-being. In terms of legal deadlines, there are statutes of limitations and there are notice deadlines when public entities are involved. And so in terms of the United States, claims against the United States the United States, in order to bring a claim against them, the passenger has to provide them with notice. And that is under the Federal Tort Claims Act. And so this is just another reason to retain counsel experienced in these types of litigations. They'll guide them through the notice of claim process.
Absolutely. Kevin, thank you so much for taking the time to break this down for us.
Thank you.